Deep within a forest, there was a village. The trees grew tall and thick, making the village feel dark and scary. The people of the village were sad. They lived in fear of a villain named Kalia. Kalia was a cruel man. He wanted to rule the village. He wanted all their food and money. He would hurt anyone who disobeyed him. The villagers were afraid to speak against Kalia. They worried about their families. They wished for a hero to save them. Kalia lived in a big dark hut. It was a place that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared to walk by. The hut was always shrouded in darkness, even during the brightest days. It seemed to absorb all light, making it a symbol of fear and dread in the village. It was in the center of the village, standing tall and imposing. The villagers couldn't avoid it. It was a constant reminder of Kalia's presence and power. Every day they would pass by it, their hearts heavy with fear and anxiety. He had a group of men who followed his orders. These men were not just followers, they were enforcers of Kalia's will. They were known for their ruthlessness and strength, making them a formidable force in the village. They were mean and scary. Their presence alone was enough to make the villagers tremble. They would roam the village, ensuring that everyone knew who was in charge. Their eyes were always watching, their ears always listening for any sign of rebellion.
Kalia's laugh was cold and heartless, echoing through the village like a sinister wind. It was a sound that haunted the dreams of the villagers, a reminder of the evil that lurked in their midst. "Bring me your gold and jewels!" Kalia's voice was commanding and filled with greed. He had an insatiable hunger for wealth, and he would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. "Give me everything you have!" The villagers had no choice but to comply. They would gather their precious belongings, their hard-earned treasures, and hand them over to Kalia's men. It was a heartbreaking sight, seeing their hopes and dreams being taken away.
Kalia loved gold and jewels. He would spend hours admiring his collection, running his fingers through the glittering treasures. It was his obsession, his reason for living. He stole from the villagers. He didn't care about their suffering or their loss. All that mattered to him was increasing his wealth, no matter the cost. He made them give him their valuables. The villagers would line up, their faces filled with despair, as they handed over their most prized possessions. It was a scene of utter hopelessness. He laughed at their misery. Kalia took pleasure in their pain. His laughter was a cruel reminder of his power and their helplessness.
"I want a feast!" Kalia's demands were never ending. He wanted to be treated like a king, and the villagers had to comply. "Bring me your best food, or you will be punished." The villagers would scramble to gather the finest food they could find, fearing the consequences of disobedience.
The villagers were terrified. They lived in constant fear of Kalia and his men. Every day was a struggle to survive under his oppressive rule. They knew they had to do something. They couldn't continue living like this. They needed a plan, a way to fight back and reclaim their village. But who would be brave enough to stop Kalia? The villagers looked at each other, their eyes filled with uncertainty. They needed a hero, someone who could stand up to Kalia and bring an end to his reign of terror. In the village, there lived a young boy named Raju. He was not just any boy. He was known for his infectious smile and his willingness to help anyone in need. The villagers often spoke of his kind heart and his brave spirit. He was a kind and brave boy. Whether it was helping an elderly person carry water or standing up to bullies, Raju was always there, ready to lend a hand. He loved his village and his family. The bond he shared with his parents and siblings was unbreakable. They would often spend evenings together, sharing stories and laughter under the starlit sky.
"I will protect my family and my village, no matter what." This was a promise Raju made to himself every day, a vow that he held close to his heart.
Raju's father was a good man. He was respected by everyone in the village for his wisdom and his unwavering sense of justice. He always stood up for what was right, whether it was mediating disputes or protecting the weak. He was a pillar of strength and integrity. He taught Raju to be brave and fight for justice. Courage, he would say, is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it.
"Son, always stand up for what is right. No matter how difficult the path may seem, always choose the path of righteousness. Never let fear stop you. Remember, true bravery is facing your fears head-on."
One day, Kalia's men came to their hut. Kalia was a notorious bandit who terrorized the village, and his men were known for their ruthlessness. They demanded food and money. Their voices were harsh and their eyes were filled with menace. Raju's father tried to protect their family. He stood tall and defiant, refusing to bow down to their threats. But Kalia's men hurt him badly. Raju watched in horror as his father was beaten. The scene was etched into his memory, a painful reminder of the cruelty that existed in the world. He felt helpless and angry. The emotions churned within him, a storm of rage and sorrow.
I promise, Father, I will avenge you. Raju's voice was steady, his eyes burning with determination. I will free our village from Kalia's tyranny. This was not just a promise, it was a mission. Raju knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but he was ready to face it, for his family, for his village, and for the memory of his brave father.
Raju heard a story from the village elders. It was a legend passed down through generations. It spoke of a magical amulet hidden deep in the forest. The amulet possessed great power. It could defeat any evil. Raju saw a glimmer of hope. He decided to find this amulet. He was determined to use its power against Kalia. He knew it would be a dangerous journey, but Raju was not afraid. He was determined to save his village. He was ready to face any danger. Section 5. Into the deep forest. Early one morning, Raju slipped out of the village. He carried a small bag with food and water. He ventured into the deep, dark forest. The forest was filled with strange sounds. The trees creaked and groaned. Wild animals roamed in the shadows. Raju walked for many days. He crossed rivers and climbed hills. He faced many dangers, but he never gave up. His determination pushed him forward. He had to find the amulet. He had to save his village. Section 6. The Guardian of the Amulet. After many days of arduous travel through dense forests and treacherous paths, Raju finally arrived at a clearing. The journey had been long and filled with challenges, but his determination never wavered. In the center of the clearing stood a large, imposing cave. Its entrance was dark and foreboding, almost as if it were a portal to another world. The cave seemed to emanate a mysterious energy, drawing Raju closer. The entrance was guarded by a fierce tiger, its presence both majestic and terrifying. The tiger's muscles rippled under its striped fur, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. It paced back and forth, its eyes glowing in the darkness like two burning embers. The tiger's movements were fluid and graceful, yet there was an undeniable sense of danger in its every step. Raju knew he had to get past the tiger if he was to retrieve the amulet. His heart pounded in his chest, but he steeled himself for the challenge ahead. It was the only way to reach the amulet, the object of his quest, the key to saving his village from the clutches of the evil sorcerer, Kalia. He remembered his father's words. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. These words echoed in his mind, giving him the strength to face the daunting task before him.
Taking a deep breath, Raju stepped forward. Each step felt heavier than the last, but he knew he couldn't turn back now. The fate of his village rested on his shoulders. He spoke to the tiger with respect, his voice steady despite the fear that gripped his heart. "Great guardian," he began, "I seek the amulet to save my people." He explained why he was there, detailing the suffering of his village and the cruelty of Kalia. His words were filled with sincerity and desperation. He told the tiger about Kalia's cruelty and the villagers' suffering. "Our crops have withered and our children go hungry. The amulet is our only hope," he pleaded, hoping the tiger would understand the gravity of the situation. The tiger listened intently, its fierce expression softening as Raju spoke. There was a moment of silence, and then the tiger stepped aside, allowing Raju to pass. With a heart full of hope and gratitude, Raju entered the cave, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in his quest to retrieve the amulet and save his village.
Section 7. The Power of the Amulet. The tiger listened intently. It sensed the pure heart of the young boy. Slowly, it stepped aside, allowing Raju to enter the cave. Inside, Raju found the amulet. It lay on a stone pedestal, bathed in an ethereal light. It was a beautiful pendant, glowing with a soft, warm light. As Raju reached for the amulet, he felt a surge of energy. The amulet was powerful. He knew he had to use it wisely. He had to use it for good. He had to defeat Kalia. Raju returned to the village. He felt stronger, braver. He knew he had the power to defeat Kalia. He gathered the villagers in the square and showed them the amulet.
Look, it's Raju.
Villagers, see this amulet. With its power, we can finally defeat Kalia.
The villagers were amazed. They looked at Raju with hope in their eyes. They knew their savior had returned.
What is this commotion?
Kalia heard the commotion. He stormed into the square, his face contorted with rage. He saw Raju and the glowing amulet.
Ha! You think a mere boy can threaten me?
Raju stood tall, facing Kalia. He raised the amulet high above his head. The amulet glowed brightly, blinding Kalia and his men.
I can't see what is happening.
A wave of energy erupted from the amulet. It struck Kalia with incredible force.
No, this can't be.
Kalia cried out in pain as the amulet stripped him of his power. Kalia's men, terrified, dropped their weapons and fled.
The village is free!
The villagers cheered. The power of the amulet had defeated Kalia. The village was free from his tyranny. Kalia, defeated and weak, was driven out of the village. He was never seen again.
We did it. Raju saved us.
The villagers erupted in celebration. They danced and sang. They showered Raju with gratitude. They lifted him onto their shoulders, hailing him as their hero.
Thank you, everyone. I couldn't have done it without your support.
Raju, humbled and proud, knew he had fulfilled his promise. He had avenged his father. He had saved his village. With Kalia gone, peace returned to the village. The villagers rebuilt their lives. They were no longer afraid. They were happy and free. Raju became a symbol of courage and hope. He taught everyone the importance of bravery and kindness. He reminded them that even the smallest among them could make a difference. The village prospered, forever grateful to their young hero, Raju, the brave boy who defeated the villain.